Hi, in this video I will be talking about how to install a third-party SSL certificate on a domain controller so that we can secure the LDAP traffic. So LDAP stands for the Lightweight Directory Access Protocol, and it is used to read from and write to the Active Directory. By default, the LDAP traffic transmits unsecurely. Um, uh, you can secure it by using the SSL or the TLS technology, um, or you can enable the LDAP over SSL, which is the LDAP S, by installing a certificate. That certificate or the cert has to be from a CA, which is the certification authority, and that CA can either be the Microsoft CA, which is your domain controller, or it can be a third-party CA. So in my case, I will be using a third-party CA, which is uh, so in my case, I'm using the DigiCert. Third-party CA can be anything, like for example, GoDaddy or whatever. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to see if there is a security cert installed on this server. So you can go to you can type MMC and go to File, Add, Remove, Snap-in. Click on Certificates, click on Add, choose the computer account, and hit Next, hit Finish, hit OK. And then go to the personal store, and then you'll see here I don't see any certificate. You can also check this with the command line by typing cert utility store and my. So I see there are no certificates installed on this. So if there is a cert, then you will see a whole lot of things here. So store my is basically this place is called my computer personal store, and that's where these certs are installed by default. So in order to install this certificate, the first thing is to create a CSR, certificate signing request. You can do that either by going to request new certificate. You can also do it using the command line, like for example, the command line to create a CSR will be cert IQ, cert request. You can do the question mark to find out all about the command line. So in my case, I will not be using the command line for that. I am going to be using the a tool from DigiCert, and the tool is available online to download it for free. So the tool is called the DigiCert Certificate Utility Tool. It's just a single file. There is no installation, so all you have to do is just basically download the file and move it onto or copy it onto your server, and then double click or run that file, and it will, if there are any certs, it will bring those certs up. If there are no certs, it's not going to show anything. So from this utility, the first thing I will do is to create a CSR. So here I'll just type the common name. I'll just use the server name. So here the key size that you'll be using is 2048, and use a Microsoft RSA. And hit generate, hit yes. So there's the cert. You can copy the cert and I'll just save it to the file just in case. Close this, and now you can go to your third-party CA, third-party certification authority. So in my case, I'll be using DigiCert, and I'm using this wildcard cert. So for wildcard cert, I'll just create a duplicate, copy that CSR, and for domain controller certificate, the best option is to choose the IAS version 7. And in notes, you can just type in anything that you like, so that you can remember what cert is this for. And then I have to approve this request. If you don't have access to approval, then somebody in your organization may approve these certs for you. This process works for pretty much all the third-party CA like GoDaddy, DigiCert, and you name it. You create the cert, and then the request goes, and one person has to approve the request. In my case, I'm the one who's going to be approving this request. So the cert has been approved, and then I go to my certificates and click on the wildcard cert and go all the way down to see if the cert is ready. The cert is not ready yet, so let's wait a few minutes. I'll refresh the page. So while we are waiting for this, let me just talk about why are we using a third party and not the Microsoft cert, Microsoft CA. There are some good benefits to using Microsoft CA. Microsoft CA means that you make your domain controller as the root CA, and then you basically create these certs. The problem in that is that your client and the server both need to your client and the cert both needs to trust the certificate. So if some of your clients they are outside of your domain and they are using the LDAP to basically copy it, read or write information on your Active Directory, then you need to send the certificate over to them as well. Or you can use a third-party certificate, and by default they are already trusted. You can get these updates for the CA in your Microsoft patches. So in my case, I'm just using the third-party CA. So both the server and the client both can trust the certificate. So here's the certificate, which is almost ready. And I will just click download, and I'll just use the recommended format to download this cert. Download, and I will go ahead and move this cert over to this server. Okay, so I just copied the certificate on this server. If you are using the certificate snap-in, and if you were creating the CSR using this utility here or through the command line, whatever way that you were creating the CSR, you then can do the basically install the cert using either the GUI base or the command line. So you will see the option here to complete the cert. But since I'm using this utility, so I'll just use the utility to basically install the cert. So in my case, I'll choose the click on the import button here and go to that cert and click next and just use a friendly name. So this name just shows up in the certs. Also is a good way just to take a quick look to see when the cert is expiring. But you can just name it anything that you like. Okay, so here's the cert. If I go to MMC here and if I refresh this page, so now I see the certificates folder, and within that now I see this cert as well, and the friendly name that we had given or we had put in is right there. You can also, instead of going through this MMC, opening up MMC and bringing up this certificates certificate snap-in, you can also use the command line to basically see any certs that are installed. So for that, the command would be cert utility so if I remember earlier when we had typed this command, there was no cert, but now there is a cert. So the next step is to move this security cert into the NTDS personal store, and for that I need to export the cert into TFX format and then move it over to the NTDS personal store. So click on the cert again. There are not just one way to export the cert. There are many different ways. You can export it through the command line, through this GUI tool. Right click here, all tasks, export, and hit next, and all 9 yards. Or I will be using this utility. So here I will use you to click on export certificate, and yes, I want to export the private key as well, and uncheck this option. You include all certificates in the path, and hit next. And here I'll just use a password, even though this is optional, but it's a good thing to keep a password for the certs that you're exporting out, just in case if somebody else gets a hold of your cert, at least it's secured with the password. And hit next, and I'll just use the same store, same folder, and I'll just call it PFX. Hit save, hit finish. So this is the cert that I need. Going back to the MMC, I'll just close this certificate snap-in, hit no, and I'll just open a new one. File, add, remove snap-in, click on certificates, hit add, and last time we chose the computer account. This time we'll be using the the service account. So click on service account, hit next, choose local computer, hit next, and then choose the Active Directory domain services, which is ADDS. Hit next, and hit OK. And here you will see just a little bit different than the the computer personal store. So this is the NTDS personal store. The Active Directory domain services looks for the certificates in the store it prefers to look for the certificates here as compared to the local machine store. Even though this step is not really an important thing, but it's a good way to keep the certificates in the right place. This also makes it easier to configure ADDS to use the certificate that you want to use, just because if you have multiple certs installed on the local machine's personal store, it becomes very difficult to predict which one to select. And the Microsoft uses S channel to basically seize the cert, and if there are more than one certificate, or if there are multiple certificates installed on the machine, S channel may not select the correct certificate. So let's import the cert that we exported out. So right click and Alt Task and import. Hit next, browse, and go to so here you're not going to see the PFX format. You have to change it to all files, and that's the PFX file. And this was one of the other reasons why I renamed it to PFX, because sometimes you don't see the file extension, so that's why I renamed it. Hit PFX, hit OK, and then hit next. So here type the password that I will type the password that I had given when I was exporting this cert, and choose both options. Mark this key as exportable in case in future if you need to, and hit next, and make sure the cert is under the NTDS personal store. Hit next and just verify all your settings. That is going to NTDS personal, the cert is PFX, and that's the file name. Hit finish, and the port was successful. Once you do that, you'll see the certificates folder popping up, and that's the cert. It's the same cert that you had installed in the personal store. Now you see it here. So the next thing would be to verify, to check if this is actually working. So for that, go to LDP, type LDP and right click, and then run as an administrator, and hit connection, and hit connect, and then here you'll type the port 636. Make sure the SSL is marked, is checked, and then type the domain controller name. And hit OK. So I have a successful connection, established connection to the domain controller. Don't worry about these where it says error 0, error 0, error 0. Error 0 really means there is no error. It's just you can go and basically Google search some of the LDAP errors. So 0 really means LDAP is successful. You can also search some more error codes on Microsoft website. So if for any reason if you see any error or anything else here, you should look under the event viewer, under Windows, under System, and any error related to the LDAP should show up in this place. So right now I don't have any errors, so everything is working fine. If you see an error, you can also do is go to connection and click on bind, and basically hit OK to do a proper binding of your security server. So now I'll just exit out and just close this window, and that's how you can install the SSL cert on a domain controller. If you have more than one domain controller, you need to just repeat this step for each and every domain controller. You can also check the you can also view the certificate info by using the command cert util v store and then my. So there's all the contents of the cert. The encryption test is passed. I'll just exit out from here. You can also do is cert util v then store my. Then you can save the contents of the command or the output of the command as a text file. So that's how you can install the SSL certs on a domain controller. Thank you so much for watching this video.